Hi there, this is Vahid from the Art of Education channel and welcome to 13th session of Object-Oriented Programming in Python. Today we are going to talk about another basic concept in object-oriented programming, method overriding. It's somehow different from method overloading. You might already know the concept of method overloading in Python or other programming languages. It's when we want to have a method with different set of input parameters. But in overriding, we need to do another thing. When we inherit from another class, something like this diagram, we have a shape as a base class or our parent class, and we inherit from this class in a square class. Inside the shape class, we have number of side method and two-dimensional method. So when we inherit from it, we can access to these two methods and calling them. So when we call them through our child class, the method inside the base class will be called. But sometimes we need to change the behavior of these methods. So we are able to redefine this method inside our child class. We call it method overriding. Now, when we call this method through our child class, this time this method will be called. And inside the method body, if we need to call the parent method, we can do it. And we directly or we explicitly need to call the parent method number of sides. So what's the benefit of this method overriding? Let's go to VS Code and see a very simple sample about this topic, and I'm gonna tell you what's the benefit of this technique or this concept in practice. Okay, let's imagine that I want to model different type of employees in my company in this application. I have three different type of employees: full-time employee, part-time employee, and night shift employee. And their tax rate are somehow different. But as we know, they are all different type of employee and they have something in common. So I'm going to create a base class named employee, and by default, first I want to create a get tax method inside employee class, and they all return same tax rate. So first I'm going to create a class named employee. Here we have a method named get_tax, and by default it's going to return 10. Okay, 10% of each employee salary should be considered as the tax. I'm sorry. So here I'm going to create three different class full-time employee. This time we need to inherit from employee. And that's it. We don't need to add anything right now. And this is part-time. And this is night-time or night shift, night-time. So these are three different type of employee that I have in my application. Now I'm going to create some instance. FEMP or full-time equal to full-time employee. Part-time part-time instance, and nighttime employee is equal to nighttime employee. So what if I print their tax right now? They all have get tax method, okay? And by default, when I call get tax through these different instances, because they don't have any tax method inside their implementation, so they go to their parent. Here we have a tax. So the tax method are common in all of them. Now let's duplicate it and this time call part-time and nighttime. And if I run the application, it's obvious that we have 310 in the output. Now for full-time employee, I'm going to say that okay, it's something different. You need to pass 20% of their salary as this as a tax. So I'm going to create the same method, get tax method, inside the full-time employee. And this time, instead of when I call get tax over a full-time employee, it's going to look inside the full-time employee class, and here we have a get tax method. So it's going to call it directly, not going to the parent class. So this time I'm going to return 20. Now if I run the application, we have 20 for the full-time and 10 for these two others. And sometimes, for example, for night shift or for part-time, I'm going to say you need to get the tax for all ordinary employees inside this company and add 2 extra % to that rate. So here we need to call our parent or our superclass get tax method and then add 2% to what it's gonna return to us. So here we again need to override tax method, and let's call a variable, create a variable named temp underline tax equal to, so we can use employee or super. So I'm just gonna call employee get tax and return, save the result inside the temp tax and return temp tax plus 2 this time. So sometimes in method overriding we need to call our parents and add extra things to that, and most of the time we are doing something like this. We call our parent method that we override right now, and then we add some extra functionality related to the output of our parent class. And if I run the application, you can see here we have 12 as the tax rate for part-time employee, because we call the parent class and then add 2 to the result. So this is the way that we can override the method in our child classes. We should have the same signature here, method signature, and then we can change the behavior totally, something like this, or we can call the parent overridden method and then do what we need to the result and return it, or maybe we don't have any return values. We need to do some business inside that method. So this is called method overriding. I hope you enjoyed the session content, and till next session, another concept in object-oriented programming. Goodbye.